Alright guys, so in this video we're going to be talking about graphing linear inequalities. So our objective is that you guys are going to graph linear inequalities, and the question is, how do you graph them? Alright, so to make this easier to read, I'm going to type some of this in. So our first step is to solve the inequality for y. That's the first step. Always solve for y. That way we can either put it in the calculator or we can graph it by hand by looking for the slope or the y-intercept. Alright, then we want to determine if the boundary line is solid or dashed. I'm going to talk about that in just a second after we get the rest of these in. So then we want to graph the boundary line either by hand or using the calculator. I will go over both of them. And then we want to shade according to the calculator. Alright, so that's what we're going to be doing within this lesson. Making sure that you guys can do those items. Alright? So, getting back to our solid or dashed. Solid, if it's going to be a solid line, it's going to be greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. If it's going to be a dashed line, that means it's either greater than or less than, no or equal to. Alright, so let's look right here. We have 3x minus 4y is greater than or equal to 8. So we want to solve this for y first. So that's where we subtract 3x from both sides. When we do, we have negative 4y is greater than or equal to negative 3x plus 8. Then we divide by negative 4. So that's y. Now remember, we divided by a negative number, so this symbol needs to flip. Negative over negative is a positive. 8 divided by negative 4 is negative 2. Alright, so now we could graph this by hand. My y-intercept is negative 2, so I want to plot my y-intercept. My slope is 3 over 4, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's or equal to, which means it's solid, so I'm going to draw a line going through those 2 points, like so, and now I need to know how it's going to shade. You have 2 options. It's less than, which means if I pick one of my points, I want to go down, which means it should be shaded over here, or you can go to your calculators. If you go to your calculators, all right? So we want to go to the graph. When we're here, we don't want the equal sign. We want to press delete. Now we want to pick the inequality symbol that fits what we have. Well, once we solve for y, we had less than or equal to, so that's the one we're going to pick. So that's number 1. Now it changes to y is less than or equal to. So now we're going to put in that inequality. So it was 3 over 4. Oops. So it was 3 over 4 x minus 2. Then you hit enter. And like I said, the shading is down here. Now, what's pretty neat is when you go over it, it's solid. If it were not going to be solid, this would bold dashed. So you would actually see that it's a dashed line. And I'll show you that with the next one. So our shading is here. Alright, so for the next one, if you want to put this in the calculator and just use the calculator, we can do that. Alright, we still have to solve for y. Alright, so we're going to subtract 4x from both sides. So that's negative 2y is less than negative 4x plus 8. Divide by negative 2. And you get y is greater than, remember, divided by negative, so I have to flip. Negative 4 divided by negative 2 is positive 2. 8 divided by negative 2 is negative 4. Alright, so if I want to graph this by using the calculator but still get it over here. Alright, so we're going to go to the calculator. Just press delete on your calculator until it says, are you sure you want to delete everything? Yes, I do. Everything's gone. All right, so tab. If you want to graph it strictly using the calculator, you have to use the equation version first. So instead of dealing with the inequality, we're just going to deal with the equation, which would be the same thing, just 2x minus 4. Okay? There's my boundary line. Okay, so I want to press Control T to bring up my table, and now I pick some points. 1, -2, 2, 0. Those sound good. So 1, -2, and then it was 0, or it was what, 2, 0, right? Yeah, 2, 0. So 2, 0. All right, now here's the thing. No or equal to, this is going to be a dashed line right here. So we're going to draw a dashed line as best we can, like so. Now it's greater than, so it should go up. We're going to check that here in a second. So we go back to our calculator. We get rid of our table because we don't need it anymore. We're going to press tab. We're going to go back to the one that we just entered in. So tab, go back up to here. Come back over. I want to get rid of that equal sign. So I press delete. I want the greater than, which is 4. And now I hit enter, and there you have it. There's my graph. As you can see, when I go over it, it's a dashed line, just like I said it would be. My shading's here. So that means my shading is all of this right here. So you can either graph it by hand using the points, or you can graph it using the calculator. Remember, if you're going to use the calculator, you have to use the equation first before you do the inequality. That way you can look at the table. If you have any questions, please let me know. Other than that, we'll talk to you guys in a little bit.